is written by Kranich in 2010. I found it quite interesting because the authors try to reinsert sentiments in our economic model, which I've never seen before, and sentiments style economic model. So this is the structure of my research. I will give you a little introduction, then explain you the model with the main variables, the labor supply, and the utility function, the key effect changes with respect to the usual economic. Then the socio-economic equilibrium, which is an equilibrium where, given the level of taxation, we define the optimal quantity of labor supplied by every agent. The endogenous sentiment, which introduces the level of taxation, and then the political economic equilibrium, which is an equilibrium where the level of labor supply, sentiments, and the level of taxation are determined jointly and within the model. Then four-sized facts then are four well-documented differences observed in the reality, to which this paper gives support. So this paper wants to study the interaction between individual behavior, sentiments, and social contract, which is the social cohesiveness. And the author arrived to define an equilibrium where labor supply, sentiments, and the level of distribution are optimal. It means that the labor supply is optimal level for each agent. The sentiments are stationary, so people are not induced to change the consideration for themselves and for the other. The level of taxation is optimal in the sense that is that one chosen by the median voter. So this is the model. We have two kinds of goods that are consumption and leisure, and both are taken as normal goods. We have a continuum of agents that split the society into groups of people, those who are skilled and the unskilled, with their respective wages that are the wages of the unskilled and the wages of those who are skilled. And the wages of the unskilled is lower in respect of the other. Then we have P, that is the proportion of the skilled, and S and sigma represent the consideration for the group of skill. Then we have this couple here that describe the taxation. We have a taxation on labor income, and all the taxes collected by the government are used to finance the transfers, the individual transfer. We have got the phi E and sigma E that represent the sentiments, and then we have the overall utility function, which is made up a part of individual private utility and individual social utility. We have the labor supply here, and the important thing is to see that the labor supply is in function of the net wage and the self-esteem, and in particular is increasing with the wages and decreasing with the self-esteem. It means that the more self-esteem I improve, I feel, the less effort of work I want to give to the society. And then the utility function, the overall utility function, which is made up of part of private utility and social utility. The private utility is in function of consumption, leisure, and the level of self-esteem, and the level of self-esteem has the power to increase the marginal rates of substitution between consumption and labor. It means that the more self-esteem I feel, the more leisure I will consume. And the moral rule is the way people judge their self and the other. So they have moral standard, and they compare their behavior with the moral standard. If they go beyond or fall down this moral standard, they will change the consideration for themselves and for the other. Then the authors move to define the socio-economic equilibrium, which is an equilibrium where, given the level of taxation, the labor supply is optimal for each agent, and the sentiments are stationary. And they find two kinds of equilibrium: the cohesive one and the clustered equilibrium. In the cohesive equilibrium, everybody offers the same quantity of labor, so there's no B in the consideration of the people. And instead, the cluster equilibrium is where those who are skilled work more than those who are unskilled. And so those who are poor are at least considered partly responsible for their condition, because they provide the society with less work effort. And so the condition here to have a cohesive society is that the maximum labor supply offered by those who are unskilled is greater to the minimum labor supplies given by the maximum level of self-esteem of those who are unskilled, but because they must have any common point to allow the supplies to offer the same quantity of labor. But in the end, we will see that we can see that the condition is the condition whether an economy is in a cluster of quasi-equilibrium depends on the level of inequality in productivity. Because if the level of inequality in productivity, then the tax rate required by the society to make the society more equal should be too high, and so the negative effect of taxation on those who are unskilled will be too high, and so the cohesive society will be more sustainable. Then they move to the endogenous redistribution, in which they try to define the maximum level of taxation given the sentiments. And they study two limit cases, the egoistic case and the altruistic case. In the egoistic case, people are not socially concerned, so the problem here is just to maximize the overall utility function, individual utility function, with respect to the private utility, because they are not socially concerned, so there's no more in the model social utility. And we see that the level of taxation that maximizes the private utility function, we can call it TE. And then, when they are in an altruistic case and people are socially concerned, there will be the overall utility, there will be social preference which has the power to keep on a small level the level of redistribution. And even more, so the level of redistribution in an altruistic case will be lower than the level of redistribution in an egoistic case. Once the new level of taxation has been decided inside the society, they try to state how the level of taxes can affect individual behavior. And we will see that variation in the taxes basically have two effects. So an increase in taxation produce a reduction in the net wage for both types of people, and an increase in taxation will increase the consumption only for those who are unskilled in respect for those who are skilled. So the net result in the society will be ambiguous, because for a higher taxation, those who are unskilled will likely to work less. Instead, we can say the same for those who are skilled. So in the end, the effect of taxation on individual behavior will depend always on the relative productivity, which is the ratio between the two wages. It means that for any level of productivity, we must be a threshold in the level of redistribution, such that if the level of redistribution chosen by the society will be lower than this threshold, we will have only cohesive equilibrium. Otherwise, we will have clustering equilibrium. And as well, for the same reason, we must have two limit thresholds on the relative productivity that maximizes or minimizes the level of redistribution, and we can call that beta 0 and beta 1. When beta in the society, the level of relative productivity is equal to beta 0, the level of redistribution will be 0, so it means there will be no redistribution. And when beta is equal to 1, the redistribution is maximum. So for each level of redistribution, there must be a limit in the relative productivity, such that if the productivity observed in the society is greater, we will have only cohesive equilibrium. Instead, if the relative productivity is lower than the threshold, we will have only clustering equilibrium. Then they move on defining the political-economic equilibrium, which is an equilibrium where labor supply, sentiments, and the taxation, the level of redistribution are determined jointly and simultaneously within the market. They start to do this, they define two levels of inequality. The first one, I call it the real inequality, which is the relative gap between the mean income and the median income. And then we have a moral inequality, which is a relative gap between the mean and the between the income and the income considered as moral or right, in a moral way, in a moral sense. And we have in a cohesive equilibrium where there's no bias of the consideration of the people, this delta will be equal to 0. Instead, in a clustered equilibrium where there's a bias in the consideration of the people, this delta will be lower than 0. So in the altruistic case, when people are socially concerned, the level of taxation will be given by this ratio here, which is increasing inequality, in moral inequality, and it's increasing in real inequality, and the level in the respective productivity for a cohesive or cluster equilibria is beta greater than a half. Now we can define, we start the level of income inequality in cohesive equilibria. So when beta is greater than a half and E0, the cluster, the level of income inequality cluster equilibrium. So in a cohesive economy where the relative productivity is greater than a half and there's no bias, so delta is equal to 0, we will see that political economic equilibrium has the unique level of distribution given by this question here, and it is possible to observe a lot of several equilibrium characterized by the same level of distribution and the same level of inequality that are given by the exogenous ratio between the productivities, and they are supported by different level of sentiments and numerosity of the population. Instead, in a clustered economy where B is less than a half, we will have the beta has got is no more equal to 0, but there's a bias in the consideration of the people inside the society. We will see that in a cohesive, we will see that looking at this picture is more clear. We will see that in this part of the picture we will have only cohesive equilibrium, because as inequality gets higher, the level of redistribution gets higher as well. But then after a certain point, we will see only clustered equilibria, and after this point, the level of the effect of delta and the level of redistribution is lower than the effect of the increasing inequality in the redistribution. So we will see a redistribution increasing but in a decreasing way. And after this point, the level of redistribution will be too high again, so the negative effect of delta will have a negative effect on redistribution as well until this so here where the level of redistribution will be equal to 0. And I found this paper quite interesting because this is one of the main predictions of the paper. So the non-monotonic relationship between redistribution and inequality, and the prediction with the second prediction of the paper is the endogenous emergence of work norms gives support to these four stylized facts observed in the reality. So it gives support to the fact that US has got greater inequality in pre-tax income and in distribution of skills, but still they have greater inequality, they have lower redistribution than with respect to Europe. And US have more dispersion in distribution of our works, and a larger number of US citizens think that the poverty is resulting in laziness. So it means that we can have the US maybe is somewhere here, and the Europe instead is here because it's got another level of redistribution related with a lower level of inequality.